Do you pray to the gods?
The old and the new.
There is only one God, and his name is death.
There is only one God. Ego knows his name. And all men know his gift.
And there is only one thing we say to death. Not today.
Hello, my sweet summer children. I'm back with some juice to get you through the long night. So, in the process of dissecting Arya, we have visited Braavos and the shady man from the House of Black and White, Jaqen Hagar. If you missed the first two videos, then indeed you need to check those out. But today we are going to be dissecting another person who claims to hail from Braavos.
Who are you?
Your dancing master, Syrio Forel.
A lot of mysteries swirl around Syrio. Did he really die? Is he actually Jaqen? Was he a spy? If he was a spy, who hired him? On and on the theories spin. It's very reasonable to think that Syrio is just a guy that retired to King's Landing to teach water dancing to anyone who can afford to pay him to teach them to do the water dance of Braavos. I mean, that's reasonable at first. But then details of how awesome Braavos is makes you wonder why a skilled swordsman, former first sword of Braavos, would come to the stinking shit pile of a city called King's Landing in the first place.
This city stinks. Like dead bodies.
A bit corpsey, yes.
And shit.
Arya gets a Braavosi blade from Jon, and then when Ned discovers it, like magic, Arya somehow gets trained by the former First Sword of Braavos. The First Sword of Braavos is the champion of the Sea Lord of Braavos. The Sea Lord of Braavos is the ruler of Braavos. Now, the Sea Lord serves for life, and you would think that the First Sword would serve for life as well. But it's not written anywhere, like we don't know that for sure. But I would think service with the Sea Lord would be like serving in the King's Guard, and if Braavos was King's Landing, then Syrio would have been like the Lord Commander of the King's Guard, like Sir Barristan Selmy, for example. So the Sea Lord that Syrio worked for or protected likely died. So this brings me to an odd discovery. The steel must be part of your arm, the bald man told her. Can you drop part of your arm? No. 9 years Syrio Forel was first sword to the Sea Lord of Braavos. He knows these things. Listen to him, boy. Okay, so Syrio says that he was the first sword of Braavos for 9 years. Okay, so he's not in service to the current Sea Lord, so that means he was likely in service to the one prior to the one now. Could that mean anything? Well, actually, it kind of could. And this brings us to the house with the red door, Daenerys' childhood home. Now, I'm 100% sold that the house with the red door is indeed in Braavos, and more specifically, it is the Sea Lord's palace. In A Dance with Dragons, we find out about a pact, a marriage pact. It is a secret pact, Dany said, made in Braavos when I was just a little girl. Sir Willem Darry signed for us, the man who spirited my brother and myself away from Dragonstone before the usurper's men could take us. Prince Oberyn Martell signed for Dorne, with the Sea Lord of Braavos as witness. She handed the parchment to Sir Barristan so he might read it for himself. The alliance is to be sealed by a marriage, it says. In return for Dorne's help overthrowing the usurper, my brother Viserys is to take Prince Doran's daughter Arianne for his queen. So this pact was made in Braavos. The Sea Lord of Braavos signed it as a witness, and considering the timing of this and Daenerys' age, and Syrio not being first sword for the current Sea Lord, but being first sword for 9 years, it's likely that he was there when this pact was signed. And it's also likely that he knew Daenerys and Viserys. and he could have possibly held some Targaryen loyalty and went to King's Landing. He could have been a part of Varys' Targaryen restoration plan, the Blackfire blueprints. Varys and Illyrio could have had their claws in Syrio, but maybe not. A lot of people think that Syrio, or the man we know as Syrio, is a faceless man, and he's actually Jaqen H'ghar. So let's investigate this angle and what exactly it would mean. So if Syrio was a faceless man, that would make a little more sense as to how Jaqen got into the black cells. Syrio wouldn't have died, but just changed his face to Jaqen. Syrio calls Arya a boy, much like Jaqen. But Arya does just look like a boy, so maybe that's just a coincidence. Possibly, just as Yoren was looking for recruits, let's say that the faceless men were looking for recruits and they wanted Arya. And the faceless man chose to exploit the fact that she's a High Lord's daughter with a Braavosi sword and use that angle to get closer to her. This is assuming that they know she's a warg, and you need to be a warg to become a faceless man. And they know that the Starks, or the blood of the first men, run through the Starks' veins, and that blood is more than likely going to produce a warg or whatever. This would mean that maybe Syrio leaves for King's Landing when news reaches Braavos of Jon Arryn's death. It was almost a given that Robert Baratheon would name Ned Stark as Hand of the King, so maybe that's the angle. Maybe he just went to King's Landing because he wanted to go to King's Landing. Now, a lot of people think that Jaqen is Syrio because they have similar mannerisms, and Jaqen seems to have some kind of strange attraction to Arya before she saves him or does him any kind of kindness. Now, the training that Arya undergoes with Syrio is similar to some of the training she learns at the House of Black and White, and I think this is the most ironclad evidence that supports the Syrio is Jaqen theory. The man Syrio Forel had come with an excellent reputation, and his flamboyant Braavosi style was well suited to Arya's slender blade. Yet still, a few days ago she had been wandering around with a swatch of black silk tied over her eyes. Syrio was teaching her to see with her ears and her nose and her skin, she told him. Before that, he had her doing spins and backflips. "Arya, are you certain you want to persist in this?" She nodded. "Tomorrow we're going to catch cats." She also had to stalk the shadows and chase cats through the Red Keep as part of her training. But what was it like training with the faceless men? On the day she had woken blind, the waif took her by the hand and led her through the vaults and tunnels of the rock on which the House of the Black and White was built, up the steep stone steps into the temple proper. "Count the steps as you climb," she had said. "Let your fingers brush the wall. There are markings there, invisible to the eye, plain to the touch." That was her first lesson. There had been many more. The faceless men took her sight, just as Syrio did, although Syrio did it with a blindfold. So the faceless men and Syrio both seem to want Arya to use all of her senses. But the main thing that sticks out to me is the knowing things factor, or seeing things, when it comes to Syrio and the faceless men. That is one thing that they have in common.
What will she do there?
She will see.
See what?
How can a man tell a girl this? If he knew what she would see, there would be no reason to send her.
Seeing things and knowing things is a big part of Arya's training with the faceless men, and seeing things and knowing things is how Syrio became the first sword of Braavos. On the day I am speaking of, the first sword was newly dead, and the Sea Lord sent for me. Many Braavos had come to him, and as many had been sent away. None could say why. When I came into his presence, he was seated, and in his lap was a fat yellow cat. He told me that one of his captains had brought the beast to him from an island beyond the sunrise. "Have you ever seen her like?" he asked of me. And to him I said, "Each night in the alleys of Braavos, I see 1,000 like him." And the Sea Lord laughed, and that day I was named the first sword. Arya screwed up her face. "I don't understand." The cat was an ordinary cat, no more. The others expected a fabulous beast, so that is what they saw. How large it was, they said. It was no larger than any other cat, only fat from indolence. For the Sea Lord fed it from his own table. What curious small ears, they said. Its ears had been chewed away in kitten fights, and it was plainly a tomcat, yet the Sea Lord said her, and that is what the others saw. Are you hearing? Arya thought about it. You saw what was there. The Faceless Men are all about seeing. That's what Arya does most of the time in Braavos. She goes out and sees things. She has to report back 3 new things that she's seen or learned. Faceless Men can tell when a lie is a lie and when a truth is a truth. When Arya is in Braavos training with the Faceless Men, this is what the kindly man tells her during her training. A man does not need to be a wizard to know the truth from falsehood. Not if he has eyes. You need only learn to read a face. Look at the eyes, the mouth, the muscles here, at the corners of the jaw, and here where the neck joins the shoulders. He touched her lightly with 2 fingers. Some liars blink, some stare, some look away, some lick their lips. Many cover their mouth just before they tell a lie, as if to hide their deceit. Other signs may be more subtle, but they are always there. A false smile and a true one may look alike, but they are as different as dusk from dawn. Now listen to what Syrio says about seeing.
My tongue lied. My eyes shouted the truth. You were not seeing.
I was so. I watched, but you...
Watching is not seeing, dead girl. The seeing, the true seeing, that is the heart of swordplay.
You said you didn't know what I would see at the docks.
A man had no idea what a girl would see and what she would not.
So the similarities are plainly there for Syrio to have been a faceless man. So it is possible that he did a little switcheroo and became Jaqen. But I'll leave that decision up to you. Let me know how this would advance the story in your opinion. If Syrio is a faceless man, in my opinion, it would mean that they had their eyes on the Starks for a long time and they seized on an opportunity. But what do you think? As always, thanks for watching. Thanks to everyone who supports me on Patreon. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please click that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and join the Sweet Summer family. Okay, my sweet summer children, have a good day.